Jenny arrived at the sheriff's office, her heart pounding and her nerves on edge. She parked the car but couldn't bring herself to get out. She sat there, staring at the wheel, unable to move. Suddenly, there was a knock on the window. The sheriff was standing outside with a flashlight in hand. Jenny tried to regain her composure, but her emotions overwhelmed her, and she couldn't help but cry and scream in the car. The sheriff opened the door and helped her out. She was still crying, and then she suddenly passed out, leaning on the sheriff. He carried her into the office and asked the other police officers to assist her. At the police station, the officers helped Jenny regain consciousness. The sheriff handed her a glass of water and reassured her that she was safe. He asked her to explain what had happened, though the police officers listened with disbelief as she recounted her terrifying experience. Just then, a voice came from the sheriff's office door. "Where did you see him?" All the eyes in the room turned toward the door, where a woman with a hood was standing. The sheriff inquired about her identity, and she introduced herself as Laura. She proceeded to share a chilling story. "He was my husband, Tony. He worked as a logger. On a seemingly normal day in May 1935, he went to cut trees as he always did. However, he returned home after just 3 hours, clutching his left arm with his right hand. I initially thought it was a simple accident, a self-inflicted cut. But when I saw the injury, I was shocked. It was as if his skin had melted away from his arm. I rushed to get the first aid kit and bandaged the area, witnessing the pain in his eyes. I left to fetch a doctor, and upon returning an hour later, I heard him screaming in agony. Tony was writhing in pain, his body covered in bandages, including his head. When I looked into his eyes, they had turned yellow. I tried to reassure him that the doctor was here, but I sensed that this was not my husband. He pushed me, and I fell down the stairs, losing consciousness. When I awoke, I felt disoriented. I saw blood on the floor, but there was no sign of my husband or the doctor. Since then, I've been searching for him, but there has been no trace. When I passed by the police station and saw the sheriff comforting a frightened girl, I had to come and check what had happened. The sheriff struggled to believe this story, as it sounded like a chilling urban legend. Perhaps there was a killer on the loose, or something equally sinister. Laura went on to reveal that she had learned numerous legends and myths during her search. According to one legend, in the 1850s, a witch terrorized anyone who entered the woods. Fear drove most townspeople away, believing it to be a mere scary story. However, children started to disappear, inciting the anger of the remaining townspeople. Armed with guns, they ventured into the woods and heard the children's screams. They found the witch preparing to harm the kids, surrounded her, and fired a shot. The witch fell, bleeding. However, the townspeople's anger couldn't be quelled, so they decided to burn her, just as they had done in the past. They tied her to a tree and set her ablaze, watching her burn alive. The legend claimed she didn't die that day, but transformed into the tree itself. Laura believed that her husband had attempted to cut down that very tree. When he struck it, the witch cursed him, making him her servant. According to the myth, the witch could be defeated with holy oil fire, which Laura had acquired during her travels to Jerusalem. The sheriff remained skeptical, as did the other police officers. But one officer named Danny suggested that he and Michael investigate the area with Jenny as their guide. Although Jenny was initially hesitant, the sheriff, compelled by the need to investigate further, convinced her that she would be safe in the company of the two experienced officers. Laura insisted on accompanying them. Danny assured the sheriff that he could look after both Jenny and Laura, and with the sheriff's reluctant approval, they set off in one of the police cars. Even with Jenny alongside two seasoned officers, she couldn't rid her mind of the horrors she had witnessed that night.